Need these young brothers around here. Yeah, yeah. Need these young brothers around here. We say welcome, welcome. We say shalom to all those who are in the house, and shalom to those who are joining us online on the different platforms that we are on. We certainly welcome you to this Torah study on tonight at our assembly here. And I just invite you to come on in to Yah's house. It's going to be all right. We thank him for another day he's given us, and we're going to work this thing out. It is important. It is critical. It is critical, when I say critical, unto eternal life, that you know how to work this thing out, that you know how to put in the work, be obedient unto his Torah, unto his word that he's given us. It's imperative that we are obedient unto that. He's given us clear instruction in his Torah. He's given us clear instruction, and so we're looking for our preparation. I was looking at some of the other themes, and we usually have a theme or something, and that's kind of common with the Roman religion. They come up with a theme for the year. You get to a new year, you get a lot of themes, and sometimes they try to find something that rhymes with whatever year it is, 2021, win one, 21, or something. You always got something, going on. But I hear a lot of stuff, and when I talk about hearing a lot of stuff, it's more man-made. It's more man-made because when you look at the word Torah, and your ruach, your spirit, lines up with Torah. If I was going to say anything for us, I would be trying to inform everybody that it's time to pack up. It's time to be packing up. Preparations should be made to leave here. We used to sing a song years ago, I'm packing up. Getting ready to go. I'm packing up, and I don't have a theme for this year. I don't want to be like the other assemblies come up with that. I don't have that. But if I was, and what I was thinking is there ought to be packing up preparation going on for us to get ready to leave this land where we presently reside. I think the ones who love this land, who is endeared to it, and I know it's hard for us because for most of us that's all we know. We don't know anything else. I don't know anything else. You talk about another land. A lot of folks, they've never been out of their own state, let alone out of the country, visiting other nations, cultures, or things like that. But people who are so connected to this system, this culture, this land, you're in for a rough ride. It's going to be very difficult. You've heard me say, I've been saying this for the last couple of years, about 2-3 years now. I said Pesach 2023. What I originally said was after Pesach 2023, everything's going to go off the rails. And there's a lot of things pointing to that. A lot of things pointing to that. It just seems to be like one devastation after another. Have you noticed that? Just seems to be one devastation after another. You can't even get through one catastrophe of what they would call biblical proportions, and here comes another one. And just recently, you've had the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. And I think what I heard today, I think the latest body count is like, what, 5,000? I think they said it's about 5,000. I mean, if you look at some of the footage, I mean, just the devastation that's going on. But as I was, gathering information, and then they said there was another earthquake. But this earthquake wasn't in Turkey or Syria. This earthquake was in New York. It was New York and the state line, or the border going up into Canada, up in that area there, northern part of New York, where you have the border of United States and Canada. They had an earthquake, and there was some footage on that, and they, certain people were at home, and so, a lot of people have in their houses now, they've got cameras in-house, indoor cameras, outdoor cameras, and they watch their pets and their kids and everything. But I was looking at some of that footage, and it alarmed them. It alarmed the people. It wasn't a very long earthquake, not like it was over in Turkey and Syria, and did not do the damage that Turkey and Syria had absorbed. But we're looking at things happening, it seems like just one right after another. And time, does it feel like time is going by faster? I mean, we're talking 2023. It just seems like 2020 was just, it don't seem like 2020, man, 3 years ago. It don't seem like it's been, that long. It just, time is going by so fast. But he does say that the 42 months leading up to the time of the reign of when he returns to reign for 1,000 years, that 42-month period, it's a time, times, and a half a time. And he says, if I don't shorten those days, there's going to be no flesh that's going to be saved. And I have to shorten it for my very elect, because I'm going to redeem my elect. My chosen ones, those who are my elect, I am going to redeem them. I'm going to have a place of refuge for them. I'm going to save them from the catastrophes and things that looks like the world is going to end. But actually, we're going to see the transformation of the Gentile age into the millennium reign, when our Messiah is going to be here and his kingdom is going to be set up like we've been praying for. Our Abba, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. So we pray that prayer so many times, many of us probably can't even count how many times we prayed that prayer. But we're praying for his kingdom to come. And his kingdom is going to come. His kingdom is going to come, and he's going to set up his rule, and he's going to reign for 1,000 years, and it says it's going to be 1,000 years of peace. But before his kingdom comes, you're going to have to endure through a lot of tribulation. He says through much tribulation, you'll what? Enter into the kingdom. Through much tribulation. So you bet, and I know, like Elder Gerard said, well, we're gonna be out of here, and I know that's how it has been taught, but there's not a complete understanding of Torah, and you can't just pick and choose and cherry pick. I just want this. I'm just gonna pull this out. I'm not gonna. You have to look at the totality of Torah from cover to cover, and you have to be able to compile it all and let the Torah explain the mysteries of the kingdom, because, the Roman religion has told us you're going to be out of here. Well, if that is the case, that means the first resurrection happens before tribulation, because you got the pre-trib catching away, you got the mid-trib catching away, then you've got the post-trib catching away. But if you notice now, before, what is the greatest thing that happens almost simultaneously with that, or right before that? What's the great event that happens? Because even No. When Shaul says, because Shaul talks about the changing of our bodies and how we're going to be able to have that heavenly body and how that's going to happen right away. It's going to be instant, moment and twinkling of an eye. But what happens almost simultaneously or right before that? Yeah, he's going to return in the sky, but what in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and 1 Corinthians chapter 15, the overall theme of those chapters is dealing with what? Because he says, Well, he says, there it is. Somebody, what'd you say? The resurrection. There's going to be a resurrection. And Revelation talks about the resurrection, but it talks about the first resurrection. And he says, blessed and holy are those who are in the first resurrection, where the second death has no power over you. That first resurrection does not happen until after the tribulation. It doesn't happen till after the tribulation. Because you know who else is going to be in that first resurrection? It says it in Revelation. Who's going to be in that first resurrection? Dead in Christ. And who else is going to be in that first resurrection? Who else is going to be in that first resurrection? It says it in Revelation. Right. Yeah, there's going to be others. That's going to be a part of the first resurrection. Okay, let's go to Revelations 20 and verse number. Let's look at verse 4 and 5 and 6. And I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, judgment was given unto them, and I saw the souls of them that were what? For the witness of Yahusha, and for the word of Elohim, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Mashiach for how long? But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. So those in the first resurrection are going to be who? Right. So, and that first resurrection happens when? After the tribulation. These are the people that'll make, these people here, it says here, that were beheaded for the witness of Yahusha and for the word of Elohim, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. Yes. No, these who are beheaded here, they're going to be in that first resurrection. So they're going to be here to reign with him. We can't exclude those who give up their lives for the Mashiach during that tribulation period. They're going to be a part of the first resurrection. So when you look at 1 Corinthians 15 and 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, when Shaul says that we're not going to prevent those who are dead, they're going to be caught up as well. All of those who are in the grave with the Mashiach, his spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, we call the Holy Ghost. Those who have the spirit or who are faithful and obedient. You have people who have gone to the grave, especially when you look at Hebrews chapter 11. They went to the grave, and what is their saving grace? Us. They're going to be fulfilled through us, but how did they make it? How do we know they made it? Faith. Faith. And they're perfected through us or our obedience. No, but they had faith. So when people say there was no faith in the Old Testament, faith is a New Testament thing. Don't believe that. That's erroneous doctrine. There was Old Testament faith. The whole chapter of Hebrews 11 talks about Old Testament, what we call Old Testament. Everybody that was before the Mashiach, that's going to come back. And they're perfected through us because of our obedience unto him. Because it says at the end of Hebrews chapter 11, it says at the end of that chapter that they cannot be perfected without us. They're not going to be perfected on your disobedience. They're going to be perfected on your obedience. And we have, in fact, we should have the faith of the Mashiach. They had faith, but not of the Mashiach. But we have faith of the Mashiach. So when you look at these people here, they get to reign for 1,000 years, right? But for us, how long do we reign? We reign forever. There's not going to be no end to our reign because we're going to be the bride of the Mashiach. And so there's not going to be no end to our reign. When we say bride, you have to look at it in the sense that, those who were faithful unto him, that was obedient unto him, that he gives eternal life to, and you get to reign as kings and priests. That's his bride. He uses words to get you to see or try to paint the picture of being a companion with him. I mean, just like, because I know we read a proverb a day. This is the 8th day of the month, so we read Proverbs 8. But just like it talks about in Proverbs 8, it talks about wisdom and understanding. And what gender is it? It calls her she. It calls wisdom she. It's a feminine gender. So is understanding a woman? No, what he's saying is that's the companionship of the Most High. The companionship of the Most High. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, but with all thy wisdom, get an understanding. And it talks about that in Proverbs 8. It's more precious than rubies, more valuable than gold. Talking about her, the understanding and the wisdom. So he's just trying to get you to see the companionship. That's what rides with the Most High. If you in the Most High, you're going to have some wisdom. You in the Most High, you're going to have some knowledge. You're going to have some understanding. If you're in the Most High, if you can hear his voice, if you can follow him, follow his spirit and his ruach, you're going to have some wisdom and some understanding. There's going to be things that will be clear and plain to you when you read Torah. When I read the Torah, I can read the Torah and man, okay, well, yeah, I see it. That just reading it, and it just comes right out. He can give you that understanding of his Torah because he wants us to have that understanding. He wants us to have that understanding. So, the people, when you talk about the first resurrection and those in the first resurrection, the ones who are beheaded for the Mashiach, for Yahushua Mashiach, those who are beheaded for him are going to be in that first resurrection, which lets you know the first resurrection is not until after that tribulation period, right before he sets up his kingdom here and reigns for 1,000 years. He's coming and pulling all his people that's going to reign with him. They're coming up out of the grave. That's the part of the resurrection. Those who are alive and remain, wherever he is, that's where we're going to be. Distance is not going to be able to stop us. Wherever he's going to be, that's where we're going, because he's going to gather us from the four corners, from one end of heaven to the other. He's gathering us. So we are coming up on a very difficult time. It's a very difficult time. This ain't no time for rhymes and rhythms and get rich, and being in the kingdom means you're wealthy and you're going to have money. They're preparing for a collapse of the economic system. They're preparing for it. people are going to start to experience problems with getting money out of the bank. So I was listening to a program, I think it was yesterday, and it was talking about how much cash. I mean, you know how they print out money? They print money, and then a lot of times they'll call in money. You know, like if they want to make a new bill or whatever. If you look at the $100 bills now, they don't look nothing like they did, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. I mean, so they can pull money in from these banks. As far as cash that's out there, I think they said there's like, I don't know, it's a double digit billions of dollars of cash that's out there. But if you add up what everybody's supposed to have in the bank, Now, let me ask you this. How much does the FDIC insure? Up to 200 or 100? So I mean, somebody might want to look that up real quick. What does the FDIC insure? What is the maximum amount that they insure in the bank? Do you know there's some people that have millions of dollars in their checking account. And you have people that's worth so much money. They've got all this money. You have people who have bank statements. If everybody took their bank statements and said, okay, I've got this much money in the bank, and you go to the bank to try to withdraw that money, you're going to find out you ain't going to get it. You're not getting that money. 250,000. So the FDIC insures up to 250,000. That's what you're insured to get. If everything collapses, because our money is off of a private investor, it's called the Federal Reserve, but that's a private entity. It doesn't belong to the United States government. But if everything collapses, your government says we insure up to $250,000. I don't care if you have $1 million in the bank. I don't care if you got $10 million in the bank. I've got $5 million in my savings account. When this thing collapses, they'll only guarantee you $250,000. So who's that going to hurt the most? People who got money. Because poor people ain't got no money. That ain't going. I can't even think about that kind of numbers in the bank. Poor people say, I've been struggling all my life. Welcome to the real world. That's what they're going to say to a lot of those rich folks. Yeah. A lot of the poor folks says, hey, we've been living paycheck to paycheck. I'm barely putting food on the table as it is now. But a lot of those people who have money, when that collapse comes, you're going to see people jumping out of windows and stuff like that, because it is going to happen. They've been meeting, the World Economic Forum. They've been meeting, and they know the collapse is coming. It has to come. And one thing that this country has to do, because they don't want to do it, but one thing that they're going to have to do is they're going to have to give reparations to the Negro of this country. They're going to have to and they keep kicking the ball down the road. They don't want to do it. A lot of people fighting against it and everything. And this whole system, if they keep that up, this whole system is going to collapse. It's going to collapse. This word in this book, in the Torah, is truth. It is truth. You can't get around it. We sung that song, he's too high, you can't get over him. He's too wide, you can't get around him. Too deep, you can't go under him. So you got to enter in by the door. This book, everything that's written in it concerning his people is going to come to pass. It's going to come to pass. Ain't nothing you can do about it. I don't believe that. Some people say, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. It ain't going to happen. And he says in Romans chapter 3, he says, or Romans chapter 2, he says, what if some do not believe? Shall their unbelief make the word of Elohim without effect? He says, no. Yah forbid. He says, let Elohim be true and every man a liar. So just because somebody doesn't believe it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And that's where we get really mixed up on. But we've got to make preparations. Our preparations that we're making now. We've got the Passover that is coming up. We're going to be celebrating the Passover from April 5th. That's the first day of the Passover, which falls on the fourth day of the week. This year, it lines up to where it falls on the fourth day of the week. He was 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth, which means he rose on the Shabbat. He actually rose on the Shabbat. When Mary Magdalene went to the tomb, first thing, it says in Yahuchanan, the 20th chapter of Yahuchanan, it says, while it was yet dark. Right at the break of day. The sun was just, or the sky just started to turn color. While it was yet dark, she was there, and he was gone. He was gone. He didn't rise on the first day of the week. He rose on the Shabbat because that's his day. And so there's preparation that is going forth right now, and you should be preparing yourself. And then after Passover was unleavened bread. Now, we have to be careful of the Roman religion because the Roman religion will tell you that all of that is done away with. I want to go to Acts chapter 12. Acts chapter 12, verse number 1. Acts 12, verse 1. Now, about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the ecclesia or the church. And he killed Jacob, the brother of Yahuchanan. They call him James and John, but it's Jacob and Yahuchanan, with the sword. And because he saw it pleased the Yahudim, he proceeded further to take Kepha also. But what was going on? Why are they keeping unleavened bread? After the resurrection, after the outpouring of the Ruach HaKodesh on the day of Pentecost. This was after that. In fact, they said by the time, this is historians, but they said by the time you get to the 10th chapter, now what's so famous about the 10th chapter of Acts? Cornelius. And Kepha went to Cornelius. They said there was about time Kepha left Jerusalem to go to see Cornelius was about 6 years. So when you get to the 10th chapter of Acts, you're talking about 6 years has gone by since the resurrection of our Messiah. Then you get to the 12th chapter, and all you have to do is follow the timeline. So the first century ecclesia still kept unleavened bread and the Passover. They still kept unleavened bread. The Roman religion has changed everything. The Roman religion says Good Friday, Resurrection Sunday. They don't even call it Resurrection Sunday. They named it after their deity. When I read this book, I do some research. I start digging. I start looking stuff up because the English translation of Torah, they purposely put things in the English translation to deceive you. Now, you're going to have to graduate with me. You can't be babes to where you can only, drink the milk. It's time to get some strong meat and be able to understand some things in this book. If a teacher or a preacher is not doing diligent research in this book, especially from the time that it was translated, and with each translation, you're going to be led astray. King James, who translated from the Latin Vulgate into English, he did it for the Roman Catholic bishops, the Anglican bishops in England. That's what the translation is for. It's for the Anglican bishops of England. They had already started their religion. The Roman religion had been centuries by the time we get to 1611. So let's look at verse number 4 here. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after, see this, Easter, to bring him forth to the people. When they translated this book from the Greek and the Latin into English, they had already set up their deity and worshiped their deity. They had already done that by 1611. Let's look at this verse, Acts 12 and 4. Acts 12 and 4. Let's look at that verse and compare. Let's look at that word. Look up that word, Easter. G3957. What is that? It's, before you go to, let's go up. Let's look at, it's Pascha. Pascha. And we say Pesach. Pascha. Pesach. That's how we pronounce it, Pesach. So what was the Pesach? The Passover, the meal, the day, the festival of the special sacrifices, okay, we can roll it up, connected with it. So they changed Pesach to name it after their God, after their deity. That was the King James, that was the translation for the Anglican Catholic bishops. That's what it's for. So every time I go into study now, I have to study and understand how this book is written, not how I hear it read. There's a lot of things. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of things. So what he's saying here is Passover, Pesach. He was waiting till after Passover. What was written in the Greek was Passover or Pesach. There was no writing of Easter. They put Pesach in there. But when they translated it, they took that word Pesach and they inserted Easter. All right? So let's go back, Brother Nathan. Let's go somewhere else. Matthew 28:19. Everybody knows what that says, right? Let's go to Matthew 28:19. Now, would anybody be offended if there was a lot of what do I want to say? It's not really embellishments, but this verse here is actually manufactured by the Anglican, and it was designed and set up for the Anglican bishops, because our Messiah did not say that. And I know a lot of people are going to say, okay, that's it, I'm done with him. He's going against the Bible. I mean, but you got to graduate now. You got to get some meat. You got to understand that he didn't say that. Even in the restoration, the Jewish restoration scriptures, it says, I want you to teach nations to become Talmudim, which means disciples. You're to go to these nations and you teach them to become Talmudim. Somebody say that word. Say it, pronounce it right. Is that how you pronounce it? Okay. That's what it says. And then he says, and baptize them in my name. That's what he said. Which, I don't see that up here. I don't see that up here. So we look at this, and especially when he says teach, he's telling them to teach, to observe commandments of nations. If they're going to be a Talmudim of mine, they have to observe my commandments. And you'll know the Talmudim of mine because they'll be immersed in my name. That's what he's saying here. Now, to teach means you have to inform, you have to instruct. Teaching brings revelation. He didn't tell them to preach, he said teach. I want you to teach, because if we take his yoke upon us, we're going to what? We're going to learn. I got to learn of him. If I'm going to take his yoke upon me, I'm going to learn of him. He's going to teach me, and he's going to teach me what to observe. And Yahusha did not bring any other commandments than what his father gave him. Same commandments. Same commandment. So when you look at this, now, if you look at this on face value, it says baptizing them in the name of the Father, which he didn't say. So what some people will say, because I said it, well, the Father's name is J-E-S-U-S. That's not true. That simply is not true. And I know, man, don't you come from an apostolic Pentecostal background? Yeah, but I want to walk in truth now. I want to walk in truth. I know where I come from, but I want to walk in truth. Too much knowledge and information out there. If anybody wants to be ignorant, and Shaul told us in 1 Corinthians 14:38, he says, if any man be ignorant, let him be ignorant. So you got some ignorant folks out there. I don't want to be ignorant, though. I can't be ignorant. I have to walk in light. I have to walk in understanding. The name of Abba, he gave it to us over 6,800 times. There should be no allusion to the name of Abba. Our Abba, his name, there should be no allusion. Huh? The uppercase L-O-R-D. Because they took his name out and they inserted uppercase L, uppercase O, uppercase R, uppercase D. And whenever you see uppercase L-O-R-D, all of them uppercase, that's the name of our Father, our Abba. And it's Yod-He-Ud-He. Yod-He-Ud-He. That's his name. All caps. Yeah. When you see L-O-R-D and they're all caps, that's his name. And that's given over 6,800 times in Torah. So if somebody says, well, I didn't know what your name is. I didn't know that day when you have to face him and you got to go before him face to face. I didn't know what your name was. Why? Now, he's going to have some time to walk it down to you. But 6,800 times, you're going to come up with 6,800 reasons why you didn't know your father's name? 6,800 times. The name of the Father and even the Son, he says, I come in my Father's name. And the Son's name was Yahusha, which means Yahu saves. When you say Yahusha, what you're saying is Yahu saves. The Father saves. He saves. How does he save? In his Son. That's his name. Yahu saves. Yahusha. Now I know a lot of people, this turns, what I'm talking about here turns a lot of people off because this is the formula for Christianity. It's the formula for Christianity. You know, anybody go, man, you go against Matthew 28:19, Orthodox fathers, this is where it's come from. Roman Catholic. It's Roman Catholicism, because that's not even what he said. I'm a Christian, and this is the formula for Christianity. Brother Nathan, let's go to, let's just swipe over to Safari. And in Safari, right here, the search online etymology. Okay, this is Cretan. Cretan. So let's look at what Cretan means. And what 1779 from French Cretan, 18th century, because 1779 is 18th century, from Alpine dialect, Christian. 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 What is a Christian? A Christian is a dwarfed and deformed idiot of a type formerly found in families in the Alpine lands. A condition caused by a congenital deficiency of thyroid hormones. The word is of uncertain origin. So they said this word here, Christian, is of uncertain origin. By many, it has been identified with, what? Vulgar Latin. Vulgar Latin, the Latin Vulgate. What they're saying here is Latin is vulgar. It's a vulgar language. And that's where you get the King James Version from. You get it from a vulgar language. You get it from the Latin Vulgate. So has I been identified with vulgar Latin, Christenius. Christenius. A what? A Christian. A generic term for anyone, but often with a sense of what? You poor fellow. You poor fellow. I'm a Christian. See, they laughing at you because they know what you're saying when you say you're a Christian. I'm a Christian. Yeah, you poor fellow. You're a dwarfed or deformed idiot. Some folks can't handle that. Some folks can't handle it. This is the etymology dictionary. This is where it traces the origin of words and where it comes from. What they would call people who they say, oh, that poor fellow, they would label them, they would label all the poor fellows as Christians. This came out in the 18th century. 18th century. Oh, y'all poor fellows. You guys don't even know. Let's go to that picture that we pulled up the other day. Man. Where is that at up here? Hey, y'all notice something in all these pictures? You see how they got that light behind his head? See that? You know what that represents? You know what that represents? That light behind the head and around the head and everything? Huh? It represents the sun. That's the sun. This here is the sun. So the venerable day of the sun has their God. So this is the sun right here. So every time you see those pictures and you got this behind it, that's the sun. And so they call him the Son of God. They call him the Son of God. So you had man, I'm going to make a lot of enemies. You had people who came over here on slave ships, never seen this, didn't know who this was. But their oppressor, the ones who beat them, raped them, raped the women, raped the children, sodomized the men, cut their foots off, gave the babies to alligators. Sold them as property, told them that they were not even a human being, and then turned around and told them, now, this is the man that's going to come and save you. So the man that's supposed to come and save them looks just like their oppressor. So what does it say? What are you saying? The people that they enslaved, they looked to this man as their savior, as their deity, as their God. And they're called Christians. And you know what these people are saying? These people are saying, they go back into the big house and they sit around their table and they laugh. And they said, you know what? Them idiots believed us. They believed us. Them idiots think that this man is going to come save them. Poor fellow. Poor fellow. They're just Christians. Poor things. They're idiots. Let's go back. Let's go back to the book. The ones that threw him to the lions? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why it says when he appears, all the tribes of the earth are going to what? They're going to mourn. It says that when the Son of Man appears, all the tribes of the earth are going to mourn. Because they're going to go, uh-oh, we've been had. It says in Jeremiah, it says our parents have inherited what? Lies. Our parents, they inherited lies. You know, you have to be so careful. I wonder if we're making the necessary preparation. I mean, are we really preparing? Because it's not going to be too much longer. I mean, because when he says, I have to shorten that time because it's going to get so bad, even the elect will be lost. It's going to get so bad, no flesh is going to survive. Well, how bad does it have to get to where no flesh is going to survive? Well, it has to be a nuclear holocaust. To where no flesh will survive, it has to be a nuclear holocaust. Yes. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, they're just trying to prepare. They're trying to prepare people, and we need to be preparing ourselves. And we're doing some things here. We've got a prep room. We've already started. We're going to be stocking it. Our prep room. We're just going to, in the event, they knock out all of our electricity or communications. You know, you got to have a plan. Every family should have a plan. What if we don't have the cell phones? What is that? Because Deacon Eston said it before. They send something up in the air and it sets something off and knocks out all the communication. What is that called? It's some kind of, Yeah, something like that, where they can send something up in the air and set it off, like, you know, not like a bomb, but it does something that knocks out all your communication. So every family should have, okay, what if we don't have cell phones? What if you can't get a hold of me? What's our plan? What's our plan? What's our plan of action? You know, and I think everybody should do that. And we here as well will have a plan of action. I think y'all know, though, if you ain't got no communication and everything's knocked out, I think you know where to go. You know, we're going to be, you know, we're going to have, we'll be able to survive until he comes and gets us, until he makes the way for us to, you know, we'll have enough to survive because we're making plans. We are making plans. I'm not, this ain't for no, you know, let's get a slogan with a rhyme on it and all this. Hey, it's getting late, y'all. This is, you know, we got Pesach coming up. After Pesach is unleavened bread. All of the ecclesia and Israel in the first century, they kept all of those days. They kept the holy days. They kept the Shabbat. They kept the feast days. They kept all of it. It wasn't until the Roman religion got a hold of it and says, no more, we ain't doing nothing that Israel did. We ain't doing that. We ain't keeping your Sabbath. We got our own day. It's called Sunday. S-U-N. Sunday. Because Sunday, it was the first day of the week when they would worship the sun. And it's Sunday. And so when they got their deity, they put a sun behind his head, like a halo or something. It's Sunday. So everybody that worships on Sunday, S-U-N-D-A-Y, you worship on Sunday, that's who you're worshiping. You're falling in line with that Roman religion, and that Roman religion has a God and made you believe that their God is going to come get you. Made you believe that. Oh, y'all know how they deceived us. I was deceived. I didn't always know this. I was deceived. But I'm so glad he opened my eyes. Give me Yahuchanan 8:43. I'm so glad that I was able to hear his voice and to follow the Ruach. He says, why do ye not understand my what? You got some people can't handle that. They can't handle. Now, our former pastor told us about the restoration scriptures. He told us that. He said that Matthew 28:19, that's not what he said. He taught us that. It was, we're to be baptized in his name. That's what he said. You immerse them in my name. He didn't say nothing about Father, Son, Holy Ghost. That was for the Anglican Catholic bishops because they believe in the Trinity. That Roman religion believes in the Trinity, and everybody that is under that umbrella of the Roman religion is one of their daughters. It's just a daughter. And it even says that in Revelation. She has many daughters. Many daughters. They can be identified because they worship on the first day of the week. It's the Sunday. They worship on the first day of the week. And make you feel guilty as if you sin. And wasn't it Kepha that says they speak evil of you when you don't run to the same excess of rioting? So they're going to speak evil of you. Man, them folks don't even go to church on Sunday no more. They don't even go to church no more. Oh, no, they don't even go to church. Do y'all know there's some folks that ain't never set a foot in the church that's going to be in the kingdom? Ain't set a foot in the church, they'll be in the kingdom. I'm not saying they're going to be the bride because he's going to select his bride. But he's going to have a kingdom. He promised it to Abraham. Why do you not understand my speech? Because ye cannot hear my word. That's why people can't understand it. They can't hear. The Holy Shema is hear and obey. That's the Holy Shema. So I got to hear his word. What, you can't understand my speech? What, I'm not speak. To some people, I don't speak right because I call it the Roman religion. I don't speak right. He says, why? You don't understand my speech? You know why? Because you can't hear my word. You got folks can't hear the word. They can't even hear what's written in this book. They don't understand his speech. They don't hear the word. Even when he promised it unto Abraham. In fact, it's in the same book, in the same chapter. Let's go up. Let's look at verse number 39. Let's go up here some. Let's see what that says. He says, okay, they answered and said unto him, Abraham is our Abba. Yahusha saith unto them, if ye were what? Abraham's children, which means you're what? If you're a child of Abraham, you're his seed. You're the seed of Abraham. Yahusha knew the promises that was made and the covenant that was made with Abraham before he arrived on the scene. He wasn't going against that covenant. He would be out of the will of his Abba if he went against the covenant of Abraham. He says, if ye were Abraham's children, ye would do the what? Oh, I thought you said you ain't supposed to have no works. He says you would do the works of Elohim. So Elohim has, not Elohim, I said Elohim, right? Abraham. Abraham, his name was Abram first, Abram. He changed his name from Abram to Abraham. Why did he change his name to Abraham? He's going to be the father of many nations. So he changed his name from Abram to Abraham because that I am, or here they put AM, but it's I am. The him on there means that there's more than one. It's kind of like how we would put an S on the back of a word, and we would put an S on the back of the word to bring out the polarity. There's more than one. So when it says I'm going to change your name from Abram to Abraham because you're going to be the father of many nations. But he says here, if ye were Abraham's children or his seed, ye would do the works of Abraham. But he went on to tell them, but now you seek to kill me, a man that have told you what? I done told you the truth. So that's what happens to a lot of people who tell the truth. You know, people who tell the truth, they put them out of church. What is that telling you? When you can stand up there and tell them the truth and then they put you out. Something wrong with that. Something's wrong when you can teach truth and you're ostracized. And you're put out. And then they tell people, don't listen to him. Oh yeah, they said, don't listen to Hazlett. So when I hear that, then I want to go to Yahuchanan 4 or 8 and 43 when he says what? You can't hear my speech? That's where I want to go. Why do ye not understand my speech? Don't listen to Hazlett. Don't listen to him. So when I hear that, a little birdie when I hear that, oh, why do you not understand my speech? Is it because you cannot hear my word? And then he goes on to tell them who your father is. Because if you can't walk in truth, the only other thing is what? A lie. That's it. It's either the truth or a lie. And we were taught here a half-truth is don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Give me the whole truth. We used to say that, I want the whole truth and nothing but the truth. That's what we would say. I don't know. I don't think people want to hear it anymore. Because if you don't want truth, then you're of the devil, who is a liar. And Yahusha said he was a liar from the beginning. Because the Most High does not operate without law, without Torah, without instructions. He gave it to Adam and told Adam to give it to your wife. He told his wife. How do you know he told his wife? Because when she was being tempted, she says, oh, well, we can have the tree of life. We can eat of that. We can eat of it. We're just not supposed to eat of the tree of good and evil, the knowledge of good and evil. And so the devil said, well, why can't you eat of that? Because when we eat of it, my husband, talking about Eve, saying, Adam told me that if we eat of it, we're going to die, because that's what Abba, or Father, told him. If we eat of it, we're going to die. So that old serpent says, oh, come on now. Come on now. You don't believe that, do you? You don't believe that you're going to die. Ye shall not surely die. And so Eve believed him. So he says here, ye are of your father, the devil. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth. Who did he kill from the very beginning? Huh? Yeah. Cain rose up and killed Abel. He says, you were a liar and a murderer from the beginning, and bold not to the truth. So when he talks about Abraham and his seed, because Yahusha didn't come to destroy none of the covenants, the promises that he gave to Abraham. That's why when the kingdom comes, you're going to have those who will be in the kingdom that are Yasharah. You'll have those who will sojourn with Yasharah, and he's going to have his bride. Now, where do you think he's going to get his bride? Do you think he's going to get his bride out of a heathen nation? Or do you think he's going to choose his bride from his kingdom? He's making up his bride. He's choosing the bride. That's why he says salvation is of the Yahudim. This is where I'm choosing my bride. I ain't going out to no other heathen nation or nothing. My bride is in Yasharah. That's where my bride is. But you'll have those who will be in the kingdom, and some of them that will be in the kingdom ain't set foot in a CHURCH. But you have us who are so judgmental and will say, if you don't come to my church, you're going to hell. Galatians 3 and 29. Galatians 3:29. And if ye be Mashiachs, then are ye what? Abraham's seed, or Abraham's children. Then are ye Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Even Shaul knew we can't break that covenant. We can't break that covenant. Now, what he's telling here, these Galatians, he says, for as many of you as have been what? As many of you has been baptized or immersed into the Mashiach, what did you do? You put on the Mashiach. If I've been immersed in the Mashiach, Yahushua Mashiach, I put him on. And then I become of Abraham's seed, and I'm an heir according to the promise. I'm an heir according to the promise. And he made a covenant with Abraham. And he said that through his seed would be like the stars in the heaven and by the sand, by the seashore. And the first sandwich is in Genesis 22, where he says it'll be like the sand which is by the seashore. I ought to get some points for the first sandwich. Okay. And if ye be Christ, then are ye Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Now he says if you say you are of Abraham, you're going to do what? You're going to do the works of Abraham. Let's see, Genesis 26 and verse 5. Genesis 26 and 5. Because that Abraham, what did he do? He obeyed my voice. He obeyed my voice. When the Most High Yah spoke to Abraham, he obeyed. He didn't ask. Now, he had a lot of people followed him now. At one time, he had, 200, 300 men of war in the 14th chapter of Genesis, when the slaughter of the kings. I think he had like 200 men, or I think something like that, that he was able to go to war, that went with him to war against the 13 kings. So, but whenever the Most High Yah talked to Abraham and told him what to do, Abraham didn't go to his council of men and say, what do you think? You think I should do that? Oh no. When the Most High Yah spoke to him, it's consider it done. That was his attitude. Consider it's done. Consider it done. And that reminds me, all of us, I have my ministry, the work that he's given me, the teaching and everything that he has given me. I have to do my part. Everybody's got a role and their part in the kingdom. You've got your role and your part. I've got my ministry, I've got my part and my role that I have to do. It's just I just got a small part, small role. You got others who have their role and their part. They have to obey his voice. He's planted men and women in the four corners because he's drawing his people. And the ministry that he gives you, you have to fulfill that ministry. So he obeyed my voice, and what did he do? Kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my Torah, my law. Torah's instructions, my law, he kept it. So if you say you're of Abraham's seed, then you're going to do the works of Abraham. You're going to do the works of Abraham. I love it. I love it when it says Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it. What did he see? What did Abraham see? What Yahusha was talking about. He rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it. What did Abraham see? Huh? But how did he see that? It says he looked for a city whose builder and maker was Elohim. He looked for that. But when Yahusha says he rejoiced to see my day and he saw it, where was that rejoicing? What did he see to where he rejoiced? His son, the promise that was given unto him? There's something else. No, there's something that Abraham witnessed that was like Christ. That's why Mashiach says he rejoiced to see my day and he saw it. We talked about it before. You guys don't remember? I'm thinking maybe somebody in the chat might know. No? When Yahusha said, Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it. Nobody? And we got ministers here, and we talked about this before. Let's go to Genesis 14. Genesis 14. What, verse 4? Let's see, verse 14. Let's pick it up there. Let's see. Go down verse 17. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer and of the kings that were with him at the valley of Shavah, which is the king's dale. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine. And he was what? Priest of the Most High Elohim. So Abraham rejoiced to see his day, and he saw it. And he blessed him and said, Bless Abram of the Most High Elohim, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be the Most High Elohim, which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hand, and he gave him tithes of all. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine. He was the priest of the Most High Elohim. So Hebrews 7. Hebrews 7, and let's start verse 1. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High Elohim, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace. Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of Elohim, abideth a priest continually. So who was in that order? The Melchizedek order. So that's why Yahusha says, he rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it. Because when Abraham met up with Melchizedek, let's go down let's see what verse 6 and 7. Okay, verse 11. If therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need was there that another priest should rise after the what? Order of Melchizedek, and not be called after the order of Aaron, because what was after the order of Aaron? Right here. The Levitical priesthood was after the order of Aaron. So he's saying for the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessity a change also of the law. This change of priesthood brings about the change of the law, because it was the Levitical priesthood that gave the people the law and did all the service in the temple. So that law for the Levitical priesthood, there has to be a change. So now Yahusha is my high priest. and I follow his service at the altar. It even says in 1 Yahuchanan that if any man sin, what do we have? We have an advocate, okay? So let's go to 1 Yahuchanan chapter 2 and verse 1. 1 Yahuchanan chapter 2 verse 1. No, 1 Yahuchanan. Two and 1. My little children, these things write I unto you, that ye what? And if any man sin, we have what? An advocate with the Abba, which is who? Yahushua Mashiach, the righteous. That's the change in the law. Because under the law, when you sin, you had to go to the Levitical priesthood. They were the mediator for you. Perfection came through them. But now that Yahushua Mashiach is here, and he's our high priest now, since there's a change in the priesthood, now there's a change in the law, so that if you sin, do you go to a Levitical priest? No. So the change in the law is, I've got an advocate, Yahushua Mashiach. He is a propitiation for my sins. That's who it is. That's the change. That's the change in the law. He didn't rewrite any laws, the laws that was given, and that's where we were. And we're going to pick up. We're going to pick up on this on the Shabbat, because the law that was given under Musha is still in effect today. Because the righteousness comes through the law. If you want to be righteous, you have to look at that law. You have to understand that law. Now it says, but if any man sin, now I don't want you to sin, because what is sin? Sin is a transgression of the law. 1 Yahuchanan 3 and 4. And we're going to come back here. 1 Yahuchanan 3 and 4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. I would not that you sin. He's saying, I don't want you to transgress the law, but if you do, we have an advocate with Abba, Yahushua Mashiach. Because in the order of Melchizedek, he is king and priest. He's king and priest. So he's the only one now, and that's the change that's in the law. The service at the temple, which the Levitical tribe would do, and for sins and everything, the change is now I have a high priest, Yahushua Mashiach, and he's my advocate. Now, I don't want to sin, but if I do, I have an advocate with Abba, Yahushua Mashiach, and he's in the order of Melchizedek, which is king and priest. So we're going to on the Shabbat, because this is Leviticus. We were in Leviticus 19. I think we finished up with verse 23. Leviticus 19:23. Because we need to study what Torah is so we don't transgress against it. Leviticus 19:23. I think this is where we finished up. And we're going to go back over this on the Shabbat. But just to kick this off, it said, now this is law. This is law. And when ye shall come into the land. So are we in the land? No, we're not in the land. So did he do away with this? No. It's still there. It's still written. The law is still there. But Yasharah is scattered to the four corners. But when you get back into the land and shall have planted all manner of trees for food, then ye shall count the fruit thereof as uncircumcised. 3 years shall it be as uncircumcised unto you. It shall not be eaten. So we're going to go through the rest of this because I want to get down I want to get down here because this is part of law. And a lot of people say, well, we ain't on the law. You can't do all the law. Well, does this apply to me? It don't apply to me. It's not applicable to me. So did he do away with it because it's not applicable to me? No, it's written. It's forever written in heaven. And when he gathers his people and they go back into the land that flows with milk and honey, if you got land and you start planting trees of any kind of food, the first 3 years, you ain't got no harvest. I mean, you'll have a harvest, but it's uncircumcised. But we don't, so even though this is law, this is Torah, it's not applicable to me. So I'm reading, I studied, I know, I need to know that. Why do you think we need to know that? We're going back to the land. And when we go back to the land, what are we going to be? But we're going to be, his bride is going to be in the order of Melchizedek, be kings and priests, reign with him as kings and priests. But what is he going to do? Anybody know? Or do you want me to go ahead and give the answer? Might as well, because we're running out of time. Huh? He's going to set up his kingdom. And we're going to rule. We're going to reign with him. We're going to reign with him. But there's a covenant that he's made. He already promised it. It's prophecy. There's a covenant that he's made. No, Jeremiah 31 and 31. That's why we need to know this. Jeremiah 31 and verse 31. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Yasharal and with the house of Yehudah. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, saith Yahuwah. This shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Yasharal. After those days, saith Yahuwah, I will put my law in there and write it in there, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my. And they shall teach no more every man his brother, saying, Know Yahuwah, like we do now. We're teaching everybody now. For they shall all know me. But notice now, you're not going to teach your neighbor, your brother, right? For they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Yahuwah. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. That's why he tells you to go and sin no more. I'll remember their sin no more. And then he goes on to give you a sign. He gives you a sign that this covenant is coming. Hasn't happened yet. Thus saith Yahuwah, which giveth the sun for a light by day, the ordinance of the moon and of the stars for a light by night. Let's go up. Which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahuwah of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart before me, what ordinances? The sun and the moon and the sea. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith Yahuwah, the seed of Yasharal also shall cease from being a nation before me for how long? As long as there's a sun and a moon and everything. That's a sign that he's not done with Israel. I'm not done with them. I'm not done with them because I'm still going to give that covenant. Thus saith Yahuwah, if heaven above can be measured and the foundation of the earth search out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Yasharal for all that they have done, because they broke covenant, they didn't keep the law, all of it. He says, I can easily get rid of y'all, but as long as there's a heaven and it can't be measured, and there's a foundation of the earth can't be searched out, and there's the sun and the moon as long. Every day you see that sun come up. Every night you see that moon. He's not done with Israel. He's not done. He's going to fulfill that covenant. Now, there's a day when he fulfills a covenant, and then what's going to happen? He said he's going to scroll up. The heaven's going to melt with fervent. The sun is going to give way. The moon is not going to give her light. I mean, all that. So he's going to be done. So in Hebrews 8:8, because a lot of people think that this is already done. It's not done yet. Hebrews 8:8. For finding fault with them, he saith, behold, the days come, saith Yahuwah, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Yasharal, with the house of Yehuda, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt. This is the prophecy that he's almost quoting it verbatim, right? So this covenant that he writes, puts the laws on their mind and write them in their hearts, we won't have to teach our neighbor or our brethren. But why is it important that we know it when he makes that covenant and writes it in my mind and writes it in my heart? I know I'm not going to teach my brother or my neighbor. There you go. Isaiah 2:3. And many people shall go and say, come ye and let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of Elohim of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahuwah from where? Jerusalem. Because he's going to write it in our hearts and our minds, and we're going to teach all nations. All these nations are going to come unto us. Not our brothers, not our neighbor, but all these other nations are going to come up to us. This is future prophecy. Micah 4:2. Micah 4:2. And many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah and to the house of the Elohim of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. So we got two witnesses. So that when he writes it on our minds and our heart, right now, you don't know all of the law. We have to teach it. We still have to teach it to you. You got people who don't even believe in the law. They said there is no law. It's been changed. What's been changed is the priesthood of the Levitical priesthood. That's been changed over to our Messiah, who is king and priest after the order of Melchizedek. That's the change that's in the law. But once he writes it on our heart, in our hearts and on our minds, I won't have to teach my brothers or my neighbor, but we will teach nations. Which lets you know there's going to be other nations, there's going to be other people. Not the ones who are living today. Because Babylon's got to fall. Mystery Babylon is going to fall. So this nation and this system that they have in place, that they've had in place for 400 years or more, this system that they've had in place, it's going to go down. It's going to go down. Mystery Babylon is going to be destroyed. But we'll go over, we're going to pick up Leviticus 23. Any questions or comments out there? We're going to pick up Leviticus 23 on the Shabbat. I just want to say that we have to really make preparations, for the Pesach that's coming up. We have the Adonai supper. He ate his supper, but he was the Passover lamb. Even Shaul tells us in where is that? 1 Corinthians 5. It says that the Mashiach is our Passover. So the Last Supper, when he got his disciples together, he ate his Last Supper. And so he was the Passover that died on the 14th day of Abib. And then he rose 3 days later, which would be the Shabbat day. The Passover does not fall on the same day every year. It's the 14th day of Abib. Well, the 14th day of Abib could be on the second day of the week. It could be on the 6th day. It could be, yes. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's, but the whole cycle and the sequence hasn't changed since he created the heaven and earth. The 15th day of the month, you have a full moon. So every time you see a full moon, and we just had one. So now the moon is starting to wane a little bit now. So we've had the 15th day of the month. Now on the Pope Gregory's calendar, I mean, this is the 7th or the 8th day of the second month. But on the Hebraic calendar, we've already had the 15th day. We're moving towards the end of the month. And so the moon will go completely dark. It's usually on a 29 to 30 day cycle. 29. Sometimes it's a little longer. Or they said in the Hebrew calendar, because I was looking at the calendars because I'm doing some reading and just trying to understand why they always put the EASTER where they do all the time, and it has to do with the equinox, and it doesn't have to do with our keeping of the feast days, the Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, first fruits. They don't follow that. They're following something totally different, and then they bring in their deity, and they call it Easter, which is after their deity Astarte. That's what it's named. When you look at EASTER, it's named after Astarte. And so and Astarte was a fertility deity. And that's why they get a rabbit, and rabbits don't lay no eggs, but you can convince a lot of people that the rabbit lays eggs. I mean, look at how they lie to us. And you got the Roman religion is the ones that perpetrate that lie. Yeah. Yeah. They try to make it fun for kids and everything. The rabbit, the bunny rabbit, laying eggs. We're going to go do an Easter egg hunt and everything. The Roman religion perpetrates that lie. It's a lie. That's all it is. But for us who are walking in truth, we know that the 14th day of Abib is the time of Passover. That's the Pesach. Yes. The high Sabbath? Okay. Okay, because you did have some high Sabbaths. I know one high Sabbath was the 8th day of Sukkot. Yeah, right after you had the tabernacles, which was 7 days. Then that 8th day was a high Sabbath. And why was that 8th day such a high Sabbath? Why was that recognized as a high Sabbath? I mean, this is one of the most holy days of the year. That's when he was circumcised. He was circumcised the 8th day. So that 8th day is a high and holy. So we know that our Messiah was born at tabernacles time. And that's what tabernacle means. I'm going to come and dwell with you. And his name is Emmanuel. So that's when he was born. But the Roman religion has perverted everything. They have their holidays, and the Roman religion perpetrates those lies, like the one that's coming up. So yeah, we'll look more about look at the high and holy, or the high Sabbath, and then the 14th day of Nisan or Abib. Now in the Bible it's called Abib, but the modern day people renamed it and they call it Nisan. Nisan or Nisan, that's what they call it. It's not called that in the Bible. In the Bible it's called Abib. He even says it. It's right there in the book. This is the beginning of months to you. This is the month of Abib. It's right there in the Bible. And on the 14th day of Abib, That's when our new year starts. Our new year is the first day of Abib, and then 14 days into the new year is our Passover. And then the 15th to the 21st is unleavened bread. Now, unleavened bread, we don't want any leaven. You got to get the leaven. You know, you want to make sure if you're using leaven in your house to bake anything, you want to get the leaven out of your house, because they didn't have any leaven. And you know, you mean we have to get the leaven out of our house? Yeah, if we're obedient unto him, we'll make sure there's no leaven in our house. And leaven is what you use to bake, to make food, and to cause it to rise. And what it signifies is, and if you do it in honesty, what you're saying is, I want to get all the leaven out of my life. I don't want anything that's going to give rise to sin. Temptations, anything, something new might have happened. We've always got new inventions. A lot of stuff happened, and okay, I want to get this leaven out of my life, and that's what it means. So we got to prepare for the Passover and get ready, because I think it's very interesting that 14th day of Abib falls on the 4th day of the week. Falls on the 4th day of the week. And the 4th day of the week is what we call Wednesday. And that's really why a lot of people have a lot of your churches, they have Bible class on Wednesday, is because that's when the day he died. He died on the 4th day. Why do you know he died? How do you know he died on? How do you know that the 14th day of Abib was the 4th day of the week that year that he died? Because he rose on the Shabbat. You know, so the 14th day, it says from noon to 3, it was what? Dark on the whole, and that was prophesied. I think that's in Amos. It was prophesied that from noon to 3 it was going to be dark. And so they took him down off of the cross before night fell. So you've got that 14th day as a day, then you've got that night, then you've got the 15th day of the month, and then you have that night, then you have the 16th day of the month, and that night, then he rose, because it was 3 days and 3 nights, and then he got up on the Sabbath. So you got that Wednesday when he died, and they put him in the tomb before night fell. So you got that Wednesday, then you got that Wednesday night, that's 1 day. You've got Thursday during the day, Thursday night, Friday during the day, Friday night, that's 3 days and 3 nights. And so he rose on the Shabbat. Right. Yeah. He rose from, if you look at the timeline, he actually rose before the first, because when does the day start on Yasharal's calendar? When does the day start? 6 p.m. is the beginning of the day. So he was up out of the grave on the Shabbat about the time that they put him in the tomb on that Wednesday. So that night represents the first day of the week. And so when Mary Magdalene got to the tomb, which it was still kind of dark outside, you know, that's what it says in the book, he was gone. He was gone. So everybody that says he rose on the first day of the week, that's not true. Because when she got there, he was gone. So that's why it was reported. She went there on the first day of the week, he was gone. But everybody in Yasharal knows, okay, yeah, he got up. He got up on the Shabbat, the 7th day, because that's his day. The 7th day is his day. So hopefully we can understand all that. But any other questions or comments? So we got to get ready for that. That is coming up. And just start making preparations. Everybody start making preparations, because this is the second month. They, on the Pope Gregory calendar, the Greco calendar, it's recognized April 5th. So if you want to know what the 14th day of Abib is, it's actually on the Greco calendar that we follow, it's April 5th. I think their Good Friday is April, what, 6th? And then, is that what it is? Or 7th? What is it on the Greco-Roman calendar? Let me get the calendar here. Yeah, they got Good Friday as the 7th. Good Friday the 7th, and then Easter Sunday the 9th. And he said, the only sign I'm giving you, because you'll hear me say this again and again, the only sign I'm giving you is the Son of Man shall be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. That's a sign. So anybody that keeps Good Friday and recognizes Good Friday and then Easter Sunday, you're showing that you're not in truth. I don't know how to put it any simpler, because he says the only sign I'm giving you is the sign of Jonah. So if you say he died on Friday and he rose on Sunday, you're in error. It's just not true. It's just not true. So we'll talk more about that. Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming, being a part of this Torah teaching on this 4th day. We'll be back on the Shabbat. We'll have our Shabbat service, and we'll offer it up unto him as a sweet smelling savor unto the Most High, unto the Most High Yah, his only begotten Son, Yahusha, the Hamashiach. He is our Savior, and he is our Messiah, and he is our King, and he's our High Priest. He fills all those roles. It's all in Yahusha. He's doing it all for us. So anybody denies Yahusha, you don't get the Father. There's no access to him. You have to come through Yahusha HaMashiach. And so with that, we're going to say shalom. Thank you for joining us on tonight, and we'll see you back on the Shabbat. Baruch haba Hashem Yahuwah.